Gemini, hello there, my beautiful friends. We're going to do your general tarot reading for early March 2025. Thank you so much for joining me today. You know, I appreciate each and every single one of you. So let's get right down to business as usual and start you off with an oracle card here, just so we could dip our toes in the energy and see what's happening for the lovely Geminis out there. Hope you're all doing fabulous and fantastic, my friends. Let's get it going here. My guide, spirit team, talk to me. What do we got for the lovely Geminis in early March, Pisces season? What energies, messages, insights can we take a little peek at? And yeah, we're just going to take a real quick look at this first card, then we'll get into the full reading itself. And at the very end, I'll pull you a bonus card from the Shadowland Tarot, just to see what might be in the shadows or what shadow work you can lean into, which is always interesting. But let's get it going here. Let's rock and see what we got for Gemini gang. What's happening in early March? What's the vibe? What's the energy swirling around here? For my good friends, please. Let's get this card nice and quick. There we go. Ask and you shall receive. Okay, cool. So this is one of your power cards in this oracle deck. Now, the deck that we're working with right here is not a tarot, but notice that we have the twins showing up, and I feel like it just links to Gemini energy to me for various reasons. So for a lot of you, I mean, this could represent the self, doing what's right for the self, focusing on what's best for you, but there's a lot of other things with this card as well, especially perspective. Now, before we fully dive into that, if you're new here, I'll be speaking about the March subscriber surprise towards the end, so you might want to check that out. Also, if you could kindly illuminate that like button by tapping it right on its third eye, you know, I'd greatly appreciate it. But enough of the promo, into the reading. Let's talk a little more in depth about this card. So as we can see, we have the twins, and they're both looking behind a mask. So there is a little sense of mystery with this card as well. Now, aside from a self-focus or doing what's right for you, whenever I see this card, the big message is always perspective. Now, whether we're going through rough times, good times, any situation, perspective is always vital, especially if we're like up against something or going through something difficult. It's important to try to look at it from the outside looking in. That's what this card reminds me of, and that's just how it always hits my intuition. So whether it's you wishing that somebody could see something from your vantage point, like, oh, if you were only in my shoes, then you would understand. Maybe Spirit's asking you to separate yourself from something and say, all right, well, if this wasn't happening to me, how would I react, or how would I advise a person? That's a big thing here, but this card does also have the empathetic undertone, so I think it's good. So for various things, you might just need to change how you're looking at it, like frame it differently. So we're going to leave it at that. Let's get into tarot. And yeah, I always say that first card there, it doesn't make or break the reading. It's just a little footnote. So let's get you 3 tarot cards in the upright. Then we'll get into that intuitive juiciness. Shuffle it up one time here for the beautiful Geminis. What's happening? And while we get this deck shuffled up and ready to go, let's talk about last week's reading. There was a lot of chatter, a lot of chit chat in your reading last week. And that's why it was called They're Gossiping, because it did feel very gossipy to me. Now, for some of you, maybe you're just a little more popular than normal, talking to a lot of different people. But there was a warning about like someone talking behind another person's back. It just felt very chit-chatty, if that makes sense. But we're going to see what shows up for you this week. As you know, energy is very fluid, never set in stone, so only take this how it hits for you, because we could be seeing your vibe or somebody else's, right? Let's get it going. 3 cards for the Geminis. What's happening in early March for my good friends, please? Let's get this going. There we go. Okay. All right, this is just the start, so no need to get nervous about it, but we are starting with the 10 of Swords. So it's like we're beginning with an ending, which is very peculiar. This isn't the most natural place for this card to show up in my readings. But, I mean, we'll take it. We're going to roll with it. We'll roll with the punches, whatever comes out, right? Let's get a couple more. Yeah. Okay, Knight of Wands. So there is the fire-air combination happening. We'll get one more. Get one more here. I mean, that does not feel like a scared card in the center. It's like, bring it on. Bring it on. There's an aggression that I'm picking up here. Okay. All right, so we have a very, very intriguing mixture of stuff happening here. Right on the back end, we do have the Hierophant, very, very grounded type of energy, and just the way the energy's flowing here feels super unique to me. And you do have a bonus card, which is the 6 of Pentacles. Now, that's usually pretty nice. And I will say this, like, the cards do lean more towards the optimistic way. Let's go through. I'll give you some of the classical meanings and archetypes, then we'll get into the intuitive juiciness. But first look, first glance, I'm looking down here. There's a nice mixture of elements happening. Now, there is some volatility here on the front, and I always feel like it's super important for us to analyze the elements, because that tells us how the energy is moving. And we do have two very comfortable ones for you here in the front with air and fire. Now that can be very volatile and explosive when you mix the two together. But for Geminis like yourselves, this is an energy that it's like you could work with it, even if it's not the easiest thing. But we do have this earthy energy right here in the back end, which could be a little frustrating to Geminis sometimes. But it's interesting how it goes. It's like very solid, very grounded towards the back, but there's like mayhem happening here in the front. So we're definitely going to want to dig through this and get all the nuance. Let's go through piece by piece and really start to build this out. So position number one, we are starting with the Ten of Swords. So whenever this card shows up, you know it's one of the more challenging ones in the tarot deck. And we see that person there, they got 10 swords in them. It's rough, right? It could represent a variety of different things. It could represent endings of different types. So whether it's an end of a situation, end of a connection, just anything that involves a little bit of pain, right? And I always say that this card is on a spectrum. It's not always worst case scenario. You don't always have to say the sky is falling. There could just be something where it's like, okay, that has concluded. What next? That's always a big vibe here. Now, there are big warnings with this card as well. It could represent feeling betrayed. It could be very heartbroken. So we definitely want to look into this a lot further. But with what I'm seeing here, it's like this energy is rushing towards it. It's like, well, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of this, like whatever it is. So there is a sense of bravery to your energy this week that I kind of like with what I'm picking up. So we want to look at it. Now, the positive of the Ten of Swords usually tells us like, okay, one chapter closed, we need to open up another one. Or if you've been going through a difficult situation, it's like there's nowhere to go but up. So we definitely want to clarify this and see what it's about. Now, moving to the center, we do have the Knight of Wands. This is a pretty in-depth card if you're connected to fire signs, so Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, this could be representing them. Knights represent action and forward progress, and they also represent communication. They're messengers, similar to pages in that way. Now, the Knight of Wands has a lot of positives. Again, it moves fast, it's very fiery, very decisive. There's no half measures with this type of card, so it's interesting that it's like facing the Ten of Swords when it comes out. So again, with this fiery air mixture, yeah, there's the explosive energy that we're going to want to look at further. But the Knight of Wands, aside from the action and movement, it's not an energy that's stuck whatsoever. And it can be brave, but it can also be extremely unpredictable. That's a big thing with this card. Now, in regards to people, this could represent people that like a lot of attention. This could be people that are like the life of the party or party animals, stuff like that, if we're assigning those traits to a literal person. But when we see this card, we're just thinking quick, decisive action, and it's not always predictable. So we're going to have to take a very close look at that. Now, moving to the back end, we have something that is completely different. We have the Hierophant. So hopefully this is something you've been going through that improves, because where I'm saying this is all explosive and this is unpredictable, the Hierophant is predictable, right? This is a card that has a lot of meaning. So it does connect to the zodiac sign of Taurus. It's earthy, it's grounded, it's very predictable. This is a long-lasting type of energy whenever the Hierophant's in the mix. It could represent corporations, it could represent governments, it could represent power structures, authority figures, it could represent spirituality, it could represent marriage, long-term commitments or relationships. So it's interesting how we have like this energy that's very unpredictable in the front, but this one is very much predictable. It's like your day-to-day schedule, your day-to-day routine. Okay, so we definitely want to see this further. Now, in the challenge of the Hierophant, it could be very stubborn. This is an energy where it's like set in its ways, it's not budging, it's not moving. So we're going to have to see if there's any type of vibe that can contend with each other. It's this fire air mixture and Hierophant, because they most definitely bump heads. So moving to your bonus card, before we get into the clarification, we have the Six of Pentacles. Now, this is a card that's very charitable, it's very giving, it's balanced, it's a karmic card as well. So I generally like this. It could be spirit saying like, all right, give your energy to this, be more giving about this. There could be situations that need a sense of balance to it, where it's like, oh no, that's not right, you're doing too much or you're doing too little. Like there could be a situation that's a little off, which makes sense because there's an imbalance showing up here as well. So we're just going to put that down. I don't feel like it's imbalanced, but I want to dive deeper on all of it, Gemini. Let's do it. Let's jump in and clarify. All right, let's get a good shuffle here for you, my friends. Let's see what's happening, please. And yes, this is where I go intuitive with the message, which means I just tell you how it feels to me. So feel free to do further research or rely on your base knowledge of tarot, because as you know, every single reading is about the reader's interpretation, and I'm just giving you mine. Let's go in on that 10 of Swords. Oh, and yes, if you're a reader yourself, please feel free to play along. That's why the box is here. If you're feeling any messages that you want to give to Gemini, you can drop it in the comments. I don't mind at all. Okay, let's see what's up with that 10 of Swords. What is happening? Okay. 3 of Wands in reverse. Okay. So usually, I mean, I'm getting a couple of different things. For some Geminis, this could just be something that you're losing patience with, and you're deciding to either not give energy to it anymore or just to end it or stop it. That could very much be the case. So if there are certain things or situations or people, whether it's work, career, or otherwise, where it's like, this has been trying my patience for a very long time, this hasn't been improving for a very long time, this isn't going anywhere, so I'm going to end this now. For some of you, that can most definitely be the case, but notice that we still have this elemental mixture of the fire and the air popping off here. The 3 of Wands in the upright is usually calm, patient, and waiting, and it's something that's like, no, there's something coming in, I'll wait. In reverse, it's not waiting anymore. It's a card where it's like, all right, well, if we're going to do it, let's do it. Let's rip off the Band-Aid. So for a lot of Geminis in this time, there could be various situations that either you might initiate ending it or stop giving it energy. It's like I'm ripping off the Band-Aid in regards to something. Now, this could be something that's already happened for a lot of you. 3 of Wands in reverse could also represent something that was kind of out of our hands, something that we didn't manifest, we didn't bring it in. So just know, for some of you, if you are going through a really tough situation, if you are going through some sort of pain, it's like, all right, well, you know, usually you can assign blame where it's due. Like for some of you, there might just be something that's out of your hands, and it happened how it happened. Okay. Unfortunately, life is like that sometimes. But again, I do get this energy of something coming to a close, or something that has. So let's keep going. I mean, for some of you, if you've been in a certain mode, if you've been feeling some sort of pain or discomfort for quite a while, you might just be over feeling that way, right? And remember, everything's on a different spectrum. So there could be something you've been dealing with or working through where it's like, I don't want to feel that anymore. Let's keep moving over to the Knight of Wands. Let's see what the Knight has. Because I feel like we'll get a lot more information as we move forward. So let's see why the Knight's here, and we'll keep it moving. Why is the Knight of Wands here, please? Thank you. 5 of Pentacles in the upright. This is another challenging card. This is another challenging card. Okay, if there is something you're dealing with right now, and it is not ideal, and you don't like it, and you feel miserable about it, or anything like that, where it's like uncomfortable, like it's too much of an issue, too much of a problem, I mean, it needs to be addressed. It's something that can't be ignored. I don't know why that's coming through for you this week, but it's like, no, if you have a pressure point, if you have something that's bothering you, address it quick. So I do feel for some of you with the Knight of Wands, 5 of Pentacles, this could most definitely be like a serious talk or an important talk that needs to be had. It's like, nope, something's bothering me and we need to address it. Whatever way it ends up, whether it's an ending or not, like this is something that needs to be discussed. That's just how it feels to me. Now, the 5 of Pentacles, watch out for monetary things, but to me, this is a very solitary type of energy. There could be something that you're missing or longing for when this card is here. Usually it's a card of loneliness and isolation. So when I see it underneath the Knight of Wands, it's like, no, this is really bothering me. This is important to me. So we need to discuss it. Okay, so I feel like that's very important in this time, like the way you communicate yourself and the conversations you have. For some Geminis out there, you might not be having any issues, right? Like you might be this Hierophant over there, and that's awesome. But just know if something does pop up and it's like eating away at you, it's eating away at your brain, and you're like thinking about it, it's better to get it out in the open. That's just how it feels to me. You know, you're better off to just get it out in the open. So this does feel like an important or serious talk. Let's keep moving over to the Hierophant. Then we'll do a quick little recap before we get into the shadow. And if we're looking at this as one big evolution or journey, it's like, all right, we're not starting from the best place, getting better, not quite there. We'll see how the Hierophant goes. We'll see how the Hierophant looks before we do our shadow card. So what's up? Why is the Hierophant here, please? Okay, Magician. Okay, good. So I feel like this is a happy ending here on the back end, whatever processes or things that you're experiencing or that you will be experiencing, it's like, okay, it's not a permanent thing. That's good. The Magician is a huge card of manifestation. It's a huge card of creation, attracting things to you. So this is the calm. So notice it's like we have all this stuff here in the front, but it's solvable. So this is great for solving issues, solving problems. And I feel like for any Geminis out there, if you feel like there's something that's bothering you or has been, or if you feel like there's unfinished business, you can turn the page. Like, that's the good thing about what I'm picking up with this energy. Whatever's happening right now astrologically and with going on in the world today, it's like this can be solved. Like, this is not unsolvable type of energy to me. Okay, so whether it's just coming to peace, I do like this. The Magician, aside from the manifesting, it is a card of control. It's a karmic card as well. It's also the universe. And when I see it underneath the Hierophant, it's like, okay, things will get back to normal, or things will return to normal. So I feel like that's really nice. So I'm happy we at least got a happy ending here. So just know, if you're in any of the stages that we've already been speaking about, it's something that can be worked through. It's something that can be solved. That's the one thing I like here. Very important to try to stay optimistic. I will say that for some Geminis, regardless of what you may or may not be going through, it's very important that you try to see the silver linings in things and try to stay as optimistic as possible, because if you stay in these energies, it's only going to pull you down. Let's go through and do a quick recap. Then we'll get into the shadows. So not the easiest reading this week. There are some challenges. Position number 1, we have the Ten of Swords with the Three of Wands in reverse. For some Geminis, there could be various things where you're losing patience with it, where I was getting the vibe of ripping the Band-Aid off. For some of you, there could be various things that you're closing out or ending. For a portion of you, if you've been feeling a certain way, it's like, no, I'm tired of feeling this way. Don't want to feel this way anymore. That's a big energy I was picking up here in the front. So yeah, it could be various things closing out and ending, but moving to the center, I have the Knight of Wands with the Five of Pentacles in reverse, addressing these pressure points, addressing issues, super important. So just know, if there's something that's been eating away at you or something that's bothering you, whether you're talking to the people involved or whether you're talking to someone that gives you some insight or clarity into it, or advice, or a therapist, you name it, talking to somebody is going to help the situation in general. I feel like this could be an important or serious talk. Moving to the back end, this is where the nice solid energy comes in, because we have the Hierophant and the Magician, where the energy does go back to normal. So there is a great energy around problem solving, solving issues, and these pressure points that we've been discussing. So just try your best to stay optimistic if you are going through any struggles. So please take a screenshot if you want to look into it further. Let's see what's in the shadows for you. Let's get a good shuffle here. See what's happening for my Gemini friends, please. What do we got in the shadows? And yeah, I always like to pull one shadow card at the very end just to see whether it's something within you or something you don't quite see. Shadow cards don't always have to be a challenge. They could be a good thing. So let's get you one. And if you made it to this point in the reading, please feel free to check out channel memberships. I'll put a link for it in the comments below. It's a beautiful way to support the channel, and I have much love for all my channel members. Okay, let's get this shadow card out. There we go. Thank you. Three of Swords. Yeah, that fits the bill. This is a card that does show up in the shadows often. Okay, and it's similar to the Ten of Swords, but to a lesser extent. They do have a lot of the same archetypes. Again, it's on a spectrum. So for some of you, whether it's feeling a little wound tight, feeling a little anxious, that could just be the case when we see this in the shadows. But at the same time, I feel like if you've been going through a healing journey or a healing process of some sort, you could be getting close to completing this. And I also feel it's important to realize that it's a process, right? Like, you don't have to heal from something overnight. You don't have to solve an issue overnight. Sometimes things take time, and that's what the Three of Swords tells me. But aside from that, watch out for the anxiety, the overthinking, stuff like that, because this card does link into those. But yeah, I mean, it's a card I would expect to see in the shadows, either that or just something still bothering you, which we kind of saw in the reading itself, or bothering somebody else. Remember, this doesn't all have to be yours. So we're just going to put that down right there, Gemini. That's what I have for you this week, my friends. Don't click away just yet, though. I'm going to give you the details of the March subscriber surprise. If you would like to book a personal reading with me and get a little glimpse into whatever situations you're dealing with, you can check out my digital calendar on my website, mastermetaphysics.com. The March schedule is up and live. But for the March subscriber surprise, giving away 3 copies of one of my most favorite decks, the Everyday Witches Tarot. So if you'd like to get your name in for this, it's 2 simple things as always, my friends. First, you must be subscribed, and second, let me know down in the comments, where in this beautiful big world are you from? I'll go first. I'm from New Jersey, and you could just put it down in the comments and you'll be entered to win. And at the end of the month, the winners will be announced in my community tab. As always, my friends, much love, and I'll talk to you soon.